In the bustling, crowded heart of Lagos, within the sprawling community of Mushin, a story unfolded in the early 2000s that still echoes with mystery and disbelief. This is the untold story of a woman who didn't just claim to speak for God, she claimed she was God. Her name was Malaika Agba, and for a time, she held an entire community in her grip. Who was this woman? Malaika, whose name ironically means angel in Swahili, was not born into wealth or prominence. She was an ordinary woman from a humble background, one of the countless faces in the sea of humanity that is Lagos. Yet, something set her apart. She possessed a charisma, an unshakable confidence that drew people to her. She began her spiritual journey not as a deity, but as a preacher. Her message was simple at first, focusing on purity, devotion, and a righteous path. She established her own place of worship, which she called the Holy Michael Church of the Lord. But this was no ordinary church. It was her kingdom, and she was its absolute ruler. As her following grew, so did her claims. She transitioned from being a messenger of God to being the embodiment of God Himself, the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. To her followers, she was no longer Malaika, she was Jehovah. Her physical appearance became a crucial part of her persona. She adopted a distinctly masculine look, always dressed in immaculate white robes, her hair closely cropped. She spoke with a deep, commanding voice, projecting an aura of authority that left little room for doubt among her flock. Her followers were expected to greet her by prostrating fully on the ground, a sign of ultimate submission reserved for a divine being. Life inside the Holy Michael Church was governed by a set of incredibly strict rules. Devotion was absolute. Followers were reportedly discouraged from interacting with the outside world, from watching television, or engaging in anything deemed worldly. Malaika's law was the only law that mattered. She dictated everything, from what her members wore to how they conducted their personal lives. Marriages were arranged and dissolved at her command. Families were separated, with children often living within the church compound, away from their parents, to ensure their complete indoctrination. Disobedience was met with severe consequences. Malaika's method of discipline was as public as it was brutal. Flogging was a common punishment, administered for even minor infractions. Reports from former members describe harrowing scenes where men, women, and even the elderly were tied to a post and flogged mercilessly, sometimes by Malaika herself, as a lesson to the rest of the congregation. The psychological control was immense. She convinced her followers that this pain was a form of spiritual cleansing, a necessary price for salvation. They were taught that suffering in her name was a holy act. Her influence wasn't just confined to the walls of her church, it spilled out into the streets of Mushin, creating a palpable tension in the community. Malaika's followers saw her as infallible, a divine being walking among them. This unwavering belief often put them at odds with their neighbors and other religious groups. Christians and Muslims alike were alarmed by her blasphemous claims. How could a mortal woman from Mushin declare herself to be the Almighty God? It was an affront to everything they believed. The friction reached a boiling point with one particularly bizarre incident that has since become the stuff of local legend. A cow belonging to a Muslim family, which was intended for the Eid al-Adha celebration, reportedly broke free and ran into Malaika's church compound. The cow was never seen again. When the owners came looking for it, they were turned away. The story that spread like wildfire was that Malaika had commanded the earth to open up and swallow the cow whole as a display of her divine power. Her followers believed it without question. For them, it was just another miracle, another confirmation of her divinity. But for the rest of the community, it was the final straw. It was seen as an act of theft and a blatant provocation. The incident nearly sparked a violent religious clash in Mushin. Tensions were high, and the neighborhood was on edge. The dead cow became a symbol of Malaika's arrogance and the growing danger her sect posed to the peace of the community. For years, rumors about Malaika and her church swirled around Lagos. Tales of floggings, forced marriages, and psychological torment were whispered in hushed tones. But they were just that, rumors. No one dared to openly challenge her. Her followers were fiercely protective, and many outsiders were simply too intimidated to get involved. The true extent of what was happening inside the Holy Michael Church remained hidden behind a veil of fear and secrecy. That all changed when investigative journalists decided to look closer. Armed with hidden cameras and immense courage, they began to peel back the layers of Malaika's carefully constructed empire. Journalists from a popular Nigerian news magazine went undercover, posing as potential converts to gain access to the church. They documented the daily lives of the followers, the strict rules, and the atmosphere of fear. Their investigation captured shocking evidence. They recorded Malaika's sermons, where she boldly declared her divinity. They documented the public floggings and the testimonies of heartbroken families who had lost their loved ones to the church. For the first time, the public was seeing indisputable proof of the abuses that had been rumored for so long. When the story broke, it sent shockwaves across Nigeria. The expose was published with damning photographs and first-hand accounts. It was a national scandal. The woman who called herself God was now exposed as a charismatic but tyrannical leader who manipulated the vulnerable and inflicted terrible suffering. The public outcry was deafening. People were horrified by the tales of brutality and brainwashing happening right in the middle of Lagos. The authorities were forced to act. Law enforcement agencies raided the church compound, and what they found confirmed the journalists' reports. Malaika Agbo, the self-proclaimed god of Mushin, was arrested. The fall was as dramatic as the rise. The deity was now in handcuffs, her divine authority shattered. Her followers were left in a state of confusion and disillusionment. Their god was fallible, their world turned upside down. The story of Malaika Agbo serves as a powerful and cautionary tale. It's a story about the intoxicating allure of power and the vulnerability of faith. It shows how a single, charismatic individual can exploit the deepest human need for hope and belonging, twisting it into a tool of control and abuse. It is also a testament to the crucial role of investigative journalism in holding power to account and giving a voice to the voiceless. Today, the Holy Michael Church of the Lord no longer stands as it once did. The name Malaika Agbo is now a whisper from the past, a strange chapter in the vibrant, complex history of Lagos. But for those who lived through it, for the families that were torn apart, and the lives that were forever changed, the memory of the woman who claimed to be God is a scar that will never fully fade. It reminds us to question, seek truth, and to never blindly surrender our minds, no matter how divine the promise may seem. Thanks for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as we did, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and hit the notification bell so you never miss another deep dive into the hidden stories that shape our world. See you next time.